Yes, we are streaming live. How's everybody doing? All right, my friends, I'm going to get right into it. Your freedom is in finishing. I want you to repeat that. Your freedom is in finishing. Your freedom is not in your intellect. Your freedom is not in your cash. Your freedom is not in somebody supporting you, although all those things are phenomenal. Your freedom is in you finishing. So I want to ask you right now, where is scarcity? If you don't know what the word scarcity means, where is poverty thinking in your world? I'm going to give you a completely, what is it called? Transparent story. So how many of you guys actually went to Zone Event at the end of last year's Zone Event? We gave out these pieces of these books that said your heart determines your altitude. So your heart determines your altitude is one of the books that we gave out for people to take notes. And I have been using this book since since the Zone Event. And what I realized is that this notebook has literally gone from my office to my bedroom to the corner of the room to another corner of the room to grabbing other books and other pieces of paper to be grabbing. How many of you guys actually take printer paper? I don't know what it is about printer paper, but I love printer paper and writing my notes on printer paper. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not supposed to be superstitious with my belief systems, but I don't know what it is. When I write on printer paper, things happen. Miracles come true. And it's such a good thing for me. And so I go to all these other pieces of paper. And what I realized is that I didn't want to come to the end of this book. What I realized is that I really like this book. That's why I created it. Like I genuinely really like this book, and I don't have any more. And so I ask you in your life right now, what are you holding on to? Which is actually a way of hoarding. What are you holding on to that's running out, or you're afraid it's going to run out? And then I looked at my life, and I looked at like other places in my life, and I was like, ooh, there it is again. Ooh, there it is again. Ooh, there it is again. So I see it in my relationship. I see it in some of my friendships. I see it in some of the moments that like I could be more patient in. And what I realized is that there was a grip that grabbed a hold of me in the last few years. I'm not going to go into why, but it doesn't even matter why. But there was a hard season a couple years ago. And in a hard season, like there's grips that grab a hold of your confidence, right? And I always say the worst thing that can happen to an entrepreneur is to lose their confidence. Because what happens is we stop going to the finish line. And sometimes that looks like we stop dreaming big. Sometimes it looks like we stop putting big things up. Sometimes it looks like we start a lot of things and not finish anything. Does that make sense? And so, Mom! She can't hear me, but I can hear her. And so sometimes it looks like hoarding, you know what I mean? But it all is an essence of hoarding. And here's what I've learned about cash flow. Is that when you grab it and hoard it, it does not grow. There's an essence of fear underneath the surface, and if you don't detect it, it will take you out. Or it will be a grind to get out. And that grind to get out, some of you guys are in it right now, and I invite you to unleash yourself today. And so if I asked you, do you know where in your life you have an essence of there's not enough, right? Can you see a pattern somewhere? I literally saw it with the book, right? Like I was like, and what happens, I'll show you. I know you already know this, but I think it's gonna help bring this up, okay? So what happens is it looks like this. The book gets, call it half used, it's less than half used. And then there's like 4 let's call them other books, like you might call them journals or agendas, but there's other notebooks. And when I started them, they all had a purpose. Like one's for my dreams, one's for my scripture, one's for my notes at like work, another one's for my notes at work. You guys, is anybody following me right now? Am I crazy, or can you see any of this in yourself? Somewhere. It might be half-eaten chocolate bars. That's a whole nother story. But you know what I mean? Like there's half done something, right? And what happens when I looked at it is all of this had and has a character behind it, and the character is connected with scarcity. Now, I know the reason why, but I don't really want to talk about the reason why, because the more I talk about it, the more it keeps a foothold in my life. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So I'm kind of done. If you know what happened a couple of years ago, that's awesome. If you don't, it's good, but I'm done talking about it. Because I don't want any of that justification in anything. Does that make sense, you guys? Put yes if it does, right? So I don't want to keep hashing it out because I'm giving it more authority with my voice all the time, even though it was years ago. And I'm telling you right now, there's things that are going to break off your mind if you let them. Because the minute you reveal or shine light on something, it has to go. Do you get what I'm saying? Like darkness has to go and light's put on it. Does that make sense? Like it has to, it's your authority. So my point is there's the reason why it happened, right? But you gotta look for the pattern. And the pattern has a character with it. So are you in a character of poverty, or are you in a character of freedom? And you will know because freedom is in the finishing. So what happens when the books get, and by the way, this has been happening over the last couple of years. So it was silent but deadly, because that's a representation of my mind. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? And the buildup builds up over time. And before you know it, you're not thinking right. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes? Does that make sense? And so what happens is this goes into a confused mind. And a confused mind does nothing well. Now you're human, I'm human, these things are gonna happen. Right? When I was trying to grow my business, I was confused all the time. Where do I get customers? Where do I get that? Gosh, if somebody would just show me how to do this, I'd do it. And there were people all around me showing me how to do it, but I wouldn't do it. Because I had a fear of rejection that was hidden. And the way I found that is that a really good friend wanted to teach me real estate. And she actually sold me my first couple homes. And she became a really good friend. She was like, okay, now that you got your real estate license, let me show you how to do this. Can I tell you, she never had the ability to sit down and show me how to do it. You know why? Because I didn't want to face, I didn't know this at the time. I did discover it, but I didn't know this at the time. I remember when there were Blackberries, I was in a Blackberry, I'd be like this all the time. Okay, I gotta go. I don't have time. I gotta go. I'm super busy right now, I'll talk to you later. I gotta go. And that was, I'm not kidding you, like that was my life. Even when I had no business, that was my life, right? And that was my mom, I can keep going, right? But if I justify it, then it's stuck because it becomes part of my identity. Is this helping at all? Put yes if it is, right? If I justify it, it becomes part of my identity. And I don't know about you, but I'm going next level, right? And it's like, it's so awesome when you notice these things because like our company has just been like so many good things happening in Hardcore right now. I mean, I really believe this is one of the best times to be coaching with us. So can I just tell you that what we say in Hardcore is just been happening like crazy. Like, it's like, I feel like we have a big light on us from heaven right now. and I am running with it. And I'm running, the word grace comes to mind. It's never been this graceful, right? It's been incredible. And so I share this with you because I had to make a series of hard decisions. Some of those decisions were made for me, but I was already going to make them. Do you know what I mean? Like, my point is that sometimes you're in a position where, like, you know something needs to end, but you haven't ended it yet. Does that make sense, you guys? But you know. How many guys are in that spot right now? You know something needs to end. Put the word end in the chat. You know something needs to end right now, but you haven't ended it yet. Okay, so if you don't end it, something else or someone else will. Okay, because the reason why you're getting that knowing is because it's the right move. You get it, my friends? Put yes if you get it. So confused mind does nothing. So I noticed that I was wanting to save the notebook. And I was like, this is unbelievable. So you know what I did? Is I'm gonna fill up the notebook. I'm gonna fill up the notebook, and I'm gonna put the notebook, so I keep all my years of notebooks. And when I'm operating at my highest level, which was for years, I mean, I had a really long streak of everything I did worked. And then I had 1 year, 1.5 years of it didn't, right? And they were from decisions I wasn't making. Okay, it was from decisions I wasn't making and knew I needed to make. And so I paid the price of that. Does that make sense? Put yes if it does. So what I always did was I fill up a notebook, and every year has a theme or two. And I would write on the outside of the notebook, and I would write what the theme was of the year. Like, the theme is I learned copywriting. The theme is I learned AI. This theme is that I learned how to be a great CEO. The theme is I learned how to trust God. Or the theme is I learned how to figure out, my financials. The theme is I figured out how to do passive income in my life, right? Like, everything would have a theme. Because if you go back and look in your notebook, every note you took actually was connected with where you were going. Do you hear what I'm saying? The only person who can stop you is you. And it comes down to, are you finishing? Are you finishing? Or do you have a lot of open loops happening in your life right now? And sometimes the open loops look like that. And this was undermining me. As simple as this looks, people justify at this level, that's just who I am. And I'm telling you, there's high performers who can do this, but there would be even more high performers if they just focused on one book. Does that make sense, you guys? Like, they actually completed. And so there's a disorganization in failure. There's a disorganization in failure. It looks like overwhelmed. It looks like overthinking. It looks like hoarding. It looks like saving, right? Like, anybody who understands money understands you don't save. You get the cash, you get it out of your account into something else that creates income. If the cash is sitting in your bank account, you will, mark my words, become lazy. You will. You will become lazy. And if the money's not in your account, you've gotten used to living in fear, well, that's become a new norm. But I can always see a disorganization in the mind that connects to the money strategy. Does that make sense, you guys? So you guys on social media, the way that I'm getting through this right now is I am filling the notebook. And I'm doing it at a very bullish rate. I have stopped all the projects, and we're focusing on one mission. Okay? And so literally I said, stop everything. Let's all go here. And that's how I used to operate when I was on faith. That's how I used to operate when I wasn't worried about failure. That's how I used to operate when I was the biggest heart possible. You guys hearing me? Put yes if you are. Right? And no different than I watched Russell Brunson online take his book and delete it in front of everybody. It was like, this isn't good. And I guarantee you there was a chaotic mind in it. Do you get what I'm saying? And so he had enough wherewithal, enough courage to say, stop, delete. This is what I'm doing. And so I'm telling you guys, the instinct is to pull back, to be busier, but I'm telling you that instinct is not safe. Okay, there's something feeding you. I won't get into that, but there's something feeding you a panic button. And there's all different levels of this. It can be very, very soft, right? Like in my case, it was very, very soft. And I didn't realize how far I had gotten out of some of my rules. So here's what my rules are. I complete everything that I start. And that hasn't stopped, like throughout this. It's just there were too many things I was completing. Does that make sense, you guys? Put yes if it does, right? And so even though I still stopped at the same time every day and was a mom, there were still people who would message me at 5, 6. Somebody messaged me last night at 7 p.m. Right? And then, you know when I saw it? At 10 to 9. Guess what I was doing at 10 to 9? Answering them. And so I can't tolerate that in my life. What do you have to stop tolerating? And it goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. I was like, don't manage people, because all people, well, most people are good people. But if someone can't respect your rules, that's a whole nother conversation. Does that make sense, you guys? If you can't respect your rules, that's a whole nother conversation. Don't allow a leadership gap to stop you from creating the life that you want. And so you guys on social media, I'm just streaming live for about 15, 20 minutes for you. And hopefully I can be just an aha, a pattern interrupt, a shift in the way that you're doing things. You guys on the on-demand mastermind with me on getgoodcoaching.com, we're going to coach into this and we're going to go deeper. You guys are meant to be live. We're going to go deeper, right? So you guys on social media, if you're in a position that you need support, I'm not over there right now, but you can put the word coach in the chat. You can put the word coach in the chat if you need support. If you're meant to be live, take this back to meant to be live and talk to your coach, right? If you're someone who's not meant to be live, you need some support, you can literally write the word coach in the chat right now or in the comment section, and somebody hopefully will be able to see you, because sometimes we miss these. So don't get mad at us because we missed something, but you can put the word coach in the chat. Do not sit in chaos. Do not sit in confusion. Do not allow these unfinished things, the character of scarcity, to take you out. And here's what I know for sure. When you get the help you need, things change. Does that make sense, you guys? So social media, this is my last live of the month. I go dark the last week of every month, and so I'm not going live on social tomorrow. We do have training for you guys on Zoom tomorrow, but I'm not going live on social tomorrow. I have a bunch of people that have just flown into Puerto Rico that we are spending time on our marriages and on our businesses, and so I will be masterminding with that group of people tomorrow. So this is my last live. If you have missed this week's training, we have gone through a lot, have we not, you guys? We've gone through a lot this week. There have been massive shifts this week. And so anybody can go back and binge starting on Monday and binge all the way to Thursday. And I'm clear that if you listen to it, that you will have a shift in the way that you operate. If you can't be productive, you're going to find that profits are gone this year. And I want that for you. I want profits to be high. I want inspiration to be high. I want you to follow through and become a finisher. And that's where I wanted to end this month. I wanted to say, look at the areas that you haven't finished, look at the areas that are incomplete, recommit and complete them, and look at next month, because next month is coming up fast. Have you literally created your targets for next month? I have. My targets for next month were created about 2 weeks ago. Okay, so if you think about that, I was a week into this month already thinking about next month. Do you guys see what I'm saying? And I placeholder it. Do you know what placeholder means? I put it on the calendar. And when it's on the calendar, my mind rests. So it gets out of confusion, it gets out of panic, it gets overwhelmed, it gets out of all of that, because I know that I'll get to that step. when I'm done what I'm doing here. All right, you guys on social media, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to see you at the beginning of next month, first Monday of next month, and I'm sending you guys so